Hey guys, Wingy here, and welcome to a Patreon Q&A. So, over on my Patreon, I asked people for questions because I wanted to do a Q&A exclusively from their questions. And basically, this is it. This is me answering said questions because I do like doing Q&As and they're fun. And I also like talking about random stuff. So, here we go. What is the most overrated period in the classic era of Doctor Who? I think for me, it's probably McCoy's era because people seem to think that is like incredible and is like some of the best stuff in the show. I don't really see it. I like it, I don't love it. Have you listened to the Ninth Doctor audio Ravengers that's just come out? No, I haven't yet. I've downloaded quite a few Big Finish things and I haven't even got around to listening to them yet, and I need to do another Big Finish review at some point, so maybe in the future. What did you think of the Premier League this season? It was a weird season, wasn't it? Like, it was a really weird season, but overall I think it was quite enjoyable. It's annoying who won it. Then again, it was even more annoying last year, but it is what it is. Here's to next season, hopefully with fans back as well. Do you watch Eurovision? If so, which... Right, no, I don't. I've never watched that shit. I don't like it. I think it's ridiculous. I'll never watch it. The only Eurovision thing related that I really like is the Father Ted episode. That's it. Do you collect the 5-inch action figures and have you ever attempted to customize them? Yes to both. I don't really collect them as much as I used to. I'll get like the odd one that I'm interested in. I'm not like a completist where I'm like, I have to get every single one of them. I know some people are. And in terms of customizing, I have got a few customs. Some that I bought like years ago off of eBay. And the one attempt that I made at a custom was for a Sergeant Benton, and I got the paint colour wrong, so he's got like poo coloured hair and a bright green jumpsuit. I essentially painted over the Captain Jack figure trying to make it look like Benton. It doesn't look like Benton, so thankfully they did release a figure, which I've got, and I really like, and that other one is just away somewhere. Like, I'm never putting that on display again. What classic villain would you like to see reimagined with new Who's CGI and effects? I don't know, you know. I guess the Sea Devils, because I really like the Sea Devils and I want them to come back, but I don't think you really need CGI for them. I don't know. I think most of the villains who have come back have looked pretty good, so I don't think it really matters who, because I know that more than likely they'll look good. I mean, you look at the Daleks, you look at the Zygons, you look at the Ice Warriors, they all look sick, so yeah, I don't really think about that. I think they'd look good anyway. A story everyone loves that you despise? I don't really know. I think despise isn't the right word, but I really don't get why people love Inferno as much as they do. Don't get me wrong, I think it's a okay story. I don't despise it, but I don't get why people think it's like the best Pertwee story. I don't see it. Are there any actors that people want to play the Doctor that you really wouldn't want? For example, everyone seems to want Richard Ayoade, but I personally wouldn't like him in the role. Yeah, that, exactly it. People seem to really like Richard Ayoade because he's like this quirky, weird guy. And that certainly is an aspect to the Doctor's character, but in terms of like the serious side, and like the proper acting chops, I've never seen him do anything like that, so I don't know if he could pull that off. I would just see Moss from the IT crowd. Are there any one-off side characters that you absolutely love, excluding Duggan because everyone picks him? Well, I mean, it is Duggan because he's awesome. But let me think, who did I really like as a one-off? I'm currently trying to think and I can't think of anybody. I guess Nida? He's a really cool character. Obviously he's not a good guy. I don't know if you necessarily mean in like a good character or a bad character, but I really thought Nida was incredible. And I really liked Tobias Vaughn in The Invasion as well. But then again, he's more of the villain of the piece, as opposed to a side character. I don't know, but them. It's a common criticism that the modern companions are always from present day Earth. What would your concept for a companion be if you were showrunner? Well, I think I mentioned this in my What I Do with Doctor Who video, but I'd either have an alien that isn't really like you could tell that they're an alien, as in whether that is just like different colour skin and like gills or I don't know, weird prosthetics, I don't know, but I wouldn't have it as a human. And I would also go for someone from a different period in history, preferably in the past, not in the future, so something like Second World War. I think that'd be pretty interesting. So, or maybe them both together. I'd love that dynamic of someone from, you know, a totally different planet with different technology and values and all that sort of stuff, mixing with someone with old-fashioned values and then the Doctor in the middle of it. I think that could be a quite interesting dynamic. If the BBC hired you to make a Doctor Who spin-off, what would it be? I'd probably make a unit series, because I really like UNIT. And obviously, you know, you've got stuff like Torchwood, which was like a different organisation, but I feel like with UNIT, you could really have it, again, similar with Torchwood, to like an ensemble cast. Maybe not as hardcore as Torchwood, but I'd really want to see what they get up to day-to-day basis. Do you reckon Jadon Sancho will finally come to Manchester United next season? It's looking more and more likely by the day. Like, I'm checking up on Fabrizio Romano's stuff. I'm like, is he giving it the here we go yet? I think it'll get done. What Big Finish audios would you recommend to someone who's never listened to one? I guess it all depends on what you like. I would recommend just listening through the 8th Doctor stuff. That's currently what I'm doing. And you know, it's double whammy really, because it's essentially the Paul McGann series, but it's also an accessible way to get into Big Finish. Or, you know, pick a random box set, go for it. What is your opinion on Toby Whithouse, or Whitehouse, I'm pretty sure it's Whithouse, I don't actually know, as Doctor Who writer? Me personally, I think he was better qualified to be showrunner instead of Chibnall in the wake of Moffat leaving. Possibly. Off the top of my head, I can't really remember too many stories that he wrote. I want to say he wrote School Reunion. I could be wrong on that. But, yeah. You know, I mean, maybe instead of going for someone who's already written for Doctor Who, they could go with someone new who's got a good track record of writing another show. I know it doesn't always work, but I've always said I'd love Charlie Brooker and I'd love the Inside Number 9 guys. Who would you say is objectively the best manager in world football right now? That's hard to say. That's really hard to say, because I know some people are going to say, oh, it's Jurgen Klopp. No, it's not Jurgen Klopp. He did very well last season, but the squad, you know, they're totally burnt out now. People would say Pep. I disagree. I don't think Pep is as good as people claim he is, and I know I'm not going to get into a whole argument about this. I know people are going to disagree, but I don't find anything Pep does impressive when you consider the context of where he's at, the players at his disposal. You know, he took over a title-winning team that already had some world-class players in it and pumped over $1 billion into it. So I'd probably win the fucking league with City. My heart is screaming to say Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but it's not him. Which one of your action figures means the most to you? Maybe my 4th Doctors, some of my Daleks, I guess, because I love the Dalek action figures. I think they're really pretty, and you guys obviously know what I think of Tom Baker, so maybe them. Have you watched a TV show called Primeval? No, but I remember when it was on, but I never was interested in it. I know a lot of people said it was kind of like ITV's response to Doctor Who, that sort of demographic it was aimed at, so I don't know. Maybe I'll check it out. Maybe it's aged well, maybe it's not. I don't know. But I probably won't get around to watch it, if I'm being totally honest. What do you think of the collection box sets? I think they're great when you're short on storage space. I do really like them. I think they're really, really cool. The only thing I don't particularly like about them is the boxes are slightly different in size, and the quality on them has been hit and miss from what I've seen from other people, including my brother-in-law. So yeah, it's a bit of a catch-22 sometimes with the quality on them, but either way, I think they're very good, and it's an accessible way for people to, you know, buy entire seasons at a time. The only problem is the price, and I hate the scalpers after who, you know, will buy them all up and then sell them for double, triple, quadruple the price on eBay. It's ridiculous. So I do think they should be more accessible, but apart from that, I think they're really great. How is the Desert Island Doctor Who with other WhoTubers getting along? Not very well. I have messaged people, and I was organised to film with someone, but that fell through for various different reasons on both sides. So yeah, that's where we're at. I'm hopeless with messaging people. My friends will tell you. Like, my friends, if they're watching this right now, they'll probably be like, this is the most I've heard from him, because he doesn't respond to us that much. So yeah, I need to properly get onto that, because I do really want to do it. It is a fun idea, and it'll be nice shooting the shit with people about their different Doctor Who opinions, and I can argue with them as to why I think they're wrong, which is amazing. Which mid-tier villains are your favourite in the show? Sea Devils, or Zygons, or Ice Warriors. No, I'll pick one. Sea Devils. Would you consider reviewing the 13th Doctor era as well, even given series 13 ago when it'll come out? No, not really. 'Cause, I mean, the thing is, I don't see what I can say about it that most other people haven't already said. I don't enjoy it, and I don't get anything out of it. I understand that people do. That's great. More power to you. I just don't. I don't want to keep ranting and raving about Chris Chibnall. I mean, I did this with Moffat. I still kind of do it with Moffat to a certain extent. I don't want to just moan about Doctor Who. I want to talk about the stuff I want to talk about. So I will be diving into the classic series and reviewing them more. I will be doing, you know, more ranking videos and this and that. I'm not going to leave Jodie's stuff out of those videos if it's relevant, like with the ranking stuff, but I don't have a desire to dive into that era again, because maybe my mind will change in the future at some point, but right now I just have no interest in talking about it. What are your current big plans in real life? I don't know. I don't know. Get my shit together, maybe save up money so we can get a house. That'd be really cool. Basic grown-up stuff, maybe even get a dog, who's to say. I'm leaning more towards the idea of getting a dog now, because that'd be cool. Proper boring adult stuff, but stuff that I'm very excited for at the same time. God, I'm actually growing up, that's a first. Favourite Big Finish episode of the ones you've watched? I don't know if you realise this, but Big Finish is audio, so I haven't really watched any of them. Unless you mean just watch, you know, like the CD there and just stare at it because it's really pretty. I have done that. In terms of like my favourite Big Finish, I do really like Spare Parts, I've got to say, and I will always have a soft spot for it because it was one of the first ones I heard, and I still think it is one of the best Cyberman stories ever. I also really liked Light at the End when I first heard that as well. That was another one of my favourites. Would you ever review any of the Big Finish audios? I have been. There is a playlist. You have apologised if I already have and I'm just ignorant. Yeah, you have been. But it's okay, I'll forgive you. The playlist is on my channel. I've done some of the Paul McGann stuff and I've done some random ones here and there as well, so go and check them out, and I will be doing more, hopefully. I will. I just need to get around to listening to them again and get into the rhythm of listening to them again. Have you seen, or do you plan to see, Dark? After Doctor Who and the X-Files, it's probably the best sci-fi show I've seen. Is that the one that's on Netflix? Because if it is, then I probably will give that a go eventually. What's your favourite collection box artwork? Ooh, that's a good one. Maybe 12. I really like season 12's artwork. I think that's cool, and it is arguably my favourite season as well, so there is that. I quite like 18 as well, to be fair. 24's not bad, I will say that. Have you changed your mind about what used to be any of your least favourite stories? Yes, I have. Now, this is the mental thing. I used to really not like horror of Fang Rock. When I was a kid, I was stupid and I was like, you barely see the monster, this is boring, I don't give a shit, this is awful, I don't get why people like this one. But as I got older and I started appreciating other things about, you know, TV in general, such as atmosphere, character, dialogue, tension, drama, stakes, suspense, all that sort of stuff, that's when you realise how good horror of Fang Rock actually is. It's a very well written, creepy, claustrophobic story that is probably one of my favourite Tom Baker stories now. And the fact that I was like, meh, you barely see the monster, that's a good fucking thing about it, because first of all, the Ruton, whilst I like the concept of the Rutons, they look ridiculous, it is a jellyfish. And second, it works better for the story. It doesn't need to be action-packed, it just needs to engage you with character and story and script, and it does. And it's also witty in places as well, so yeah, that one 100% I got wrong. And I've even done a video from a few years ago in my overrated underrated series where I did say that that story was overrated, and if you go back and watch that video, you'll realise that I'm talking out of my arse. What's your favourite grass type Pokemon? It's Chikorita, because Chikorita is my favourite Pokemon ever anyway, so how can I not say my boy Chikorita? Favourite episode of Blake 7? Barring that, favourite episode you've seen so far is okay. Oh, well, I have seen all of Blake 7. I've got to say, I really like Rumours of Death, that's the name of it, in season 3 with Avon. I really like Orbit, and I fucking love Blake as well. I think that's a really, really good. Actually, the first episode, The Way Back, that's a really good one as well. And also the episode with Colin Baker in it. I can't remember the name of the episode now. Pretty sure that's a Villa episode as well. Any of them. I love any of them. What did you think of the new Red Dwarf seasons? I haven't actually seen them yet. I've not got around to it. I think I did start watching them. I think I watched the first season after Back to Earth, which I can't find anywhere, by the way. Does anyone know where I can watch Back to Earth again? Because I really enjoyed that, and I thought it was goofy and weird. Didn't really make sense, but I loved it. And I'm just curious to watch it again. Obviously, it's off Netflix now, but I just can't seem to find Back to Earth. But in terms of the newer seasons, I need to watch them I need to get on that because I do really want to see him. Am I right in saying that it's cancelled now though? That's a shame if that's true, because I love Red Dwarf and I need to do more videos on it actually. If it wasn't for CSO issues, would you still dislike Underworld? For the record, I actually go back and watch it a few times more than I should. Well, this is the thing. Whilst the special effects do not help that story in any way, shape or form, that's just an aesthetic thing. Like I've said it before, Doctor Who can look shit because obviously special effects, budget, time constraints, all these things. I don't mind that. There's certain stories out there that I think look absolutely terrible. Do I love them? Yes, because the plot is that good. With Underworld, it's the worst of both worlds. It looks awful, and the plot and story, well actually no, I'll tell her, the plot's quite interesting, but it's executed really poorly, so it ends up as really bland and dull, and I just can't get past that. Do you enjoy the chemistry between Peter Davison, Janet Fielding and Mark Strickson on Doctor Who, and if so, why or why not? It's okay. They're not my favourite TARDIS team. I do love season 21, which is obviously the majority of the season is the 5th Doctor, Tegan and Turlough. I don't know, I think it works better than the other TARDIS teams that the 5th Doctor had. It's probably the strongest one, but I don't really like Tegan and I don't really like Turlough. Meh, it's okay. I much prefer, weirdly, I much prefer the 5th Doctor with Perry. I think that chemistry works a hell of a lot better, even though they only had 2 stories together, on screen at least. Have you ever read Doctor Who Borrowed Time by Naomi Alderman? If so, what were your thoughts? I haven't, but I'll probably say I'll get around to it and then never actually do. So, who's your favourite superhero and supervillain? Ooh, it's gotta be Batman and the Joker, I think. It's hard because I like so many different characters. Like Spider-Man is up there for me as well. I love Venom as well. I think, well, I always still think Venom is a villain, but I am very well aware that he is more of an anti-hero now, even hero, because I know that has he been part of the Avengers? I think he has. I don't know, but I think if someone had a gun to my head and was like, pick one, it's Batman and the Joker. What is your favourite Spider-Man movie? If I'm honest, I don't think any of them are incredible or amazing. I don't really like the Tobey Maguire movies. I've done a video on that. The Amazing Spider-Man stuff with Andrew Garfield is okay, but it's not something I'm in a rush to go back to. And I don't really like how they've done Spider-Man in the MCU. I think he's mini Iron Man, which for me is just wrong. He shouldn't be relying on tech and gadgets. He's a smart kid. He should be using his own brains, not Tony Stark's. I guess maybe Far From Home, just because I enjoyed Mysterio and I enjoyed the plot of it, even though again it is heavily linked to Tony Stark. It is probably the best one thus far, and I do think Tom Holland is probably my favourite Spider-Man in terms of how he plays it, but he is mini Iron Man, which I hate. Have you seen Bad Education? If so, thoughts? I have seen it and I'm pretty sure I liked it, but it's a show that I don't really tend to revisit. I guess it's one of them where it's like, man, that was enjoyable, but that's as far as it goes. What is your favourite video game? Ultimate Spider-Man for PS2. Easy. I pumped so many hours into that game. But then again, there were so many others growing up that I was like, oh my god, this is fucking sick. Like the original PS1 Spider-Man game, awesome. The Monster Rock thing at the end was ridiculous. Even to this day, I'll probably struggle to do that final level. So there's that, those 2 Spider-Man games. Simpsons Hit and Run, again, pumped so many hours into that, and again, last level, ridiculously hard. Obviously the Pokemon series, GTA, Star Wars Battlefront 2, as in the original one, not the new money grabbing crap. So yeah, any of them, but it's more than likely Ultimate Spider-Man. I should have just said that. Have you seen T2 Judgment Day? If so, thoughts? Oh yeah, one of the best films ever. I love the first 2 Terminator films, and I don't mind the 3rd one. After that, I really don't care about the Terminator franchise, but the 2nd one, see, some people seem to think it's the best one. I do think I prefer the first one, but it's like that close, like really, that's not going to focus, but you get what I mean. It's very close between the 2 of them. Would you say on the whole that Paul Pogba has been a flop at Man United? No. I think that's very harsh. At the end of the day, I think Pogba, for the fee that he commanded and the stature and the whole like prodigal son returns type thing, has he been a disappointment? Maybe. I don't think he has lived up to the potential and, you know, the type of player we thought we were getting, but it's not like he's been shit. I wouldn't say, he's been inconsistent. To say he's a flop is harsh. Someone like Sanchez was a flop. He had 1 good game. that was it. And then everyone was thinking like, let's just fuck him off. Like, no, Pogba's not been a flop. He's been a good servant for United, but he could have been better. And I hate when his agent and his brother starts flapping the gums. That doesn't help his case. What do you think is the best Star Wars series, animated or live action? And will you ever get to reviewing the prequel trilogy? Yes, I will get to reviewing the prequel trilogy. We were meant to watch it, but we didn't for some reason, and we started watching other stuff, but I'll get onto that. And in terms of like series, I've always got nostalgia for the original Clone Wars, like the 2D animated one. Like I just vividly remember watching that as a kid. Like when I came home from school, it was on, and I loved the Clone Troopers segment in that. That was really cool, where they're doing all the hand actions and the running, and yeah, I really like that. Do you watch any combat sports such as boxing or UFC? If there's a big fight, then I'll watch the boxing, but that's very occasionally, and that's usually if someone has already got it on, or if I'm in a pub and it's on. I remember I was at the pub for a big Anthony Joshua fight. I can't remember, it was a shit fight as well. I can't remember who it was, but I had a lot of hype. But yeah, apart from that, no, not really. It's not my thing massively. It is pretty much just football is the only sport that I'll watch. I'll give the rugby a go every now and again. I've even been to the rugby, probably more recently than a football match, which is weird, but there you are. Thoughts on the Euros so far? It's been okay. I've not really caught the hype yet, and I'm pretty sure England are going to go out in the round of 16 anyway. I think England are lucky to get to the quarters, to be fair, but I think it's been okay. There's been some really good games. There's been some really shit games. Obviously, what happened with Christian Eriksen, that was fucking awful. And I mean awful. Yeah, it's been an interesting tournament. Me and my friends and my girlfriend were in a fantasy league together. And whoever wins that is going to get drinks bought for them by everyone else. Currently, I'm not doing so good. But hopefully, some of the players that I've picked start picking up some more points. And I can win that. Any tips, by the way, for fantasy league? It's the Dream Team one. I didn't realise it was with the Sun. My bad, I wouldn't have done it otherwise. But yeah, any fantasy football tips for the Euros, let me know. What classic villain that didn't return in Series 1 would you have liked to have seen the Ninth Doctor face up against? Also, which Ninth Doctor audio story so far would you recommend? I've not heard them, so I don't know. In terms of classic villain, you did say apart from the Cybermen, they would be the obvious choice. I want to say the Master, purely because I want to see how that Doctor responds to seeing the Master. But I think logically it doesn't work. So, I don't know. Maybe a Sontaran story could be interesting, because obviously they're very war related, having previously just come out of the Time War. It'd be interesting to see how, you know, how the Ninth Doctor feels about that. What is your go-to Yu-Gi-Oh cards for your deck? Well, that all depends on what deck I'm playing. I think the one card that I try and put in every deck, more or less, is Monster Reborn, because it's just generic good support. Unfortunately, I don't have, because they're too expensive, some of the, you know, more expensive cards like Pot of Extravagance and Lightning Storm, Forbidden Droplet, stuff like that. I don't have them because they're ridiculous. Let's think. Oh, what sort of Link monsters do I like as well? I really like Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos. Stupid name, awesome card. And even though it doesn't necessarily fit in every deck that I've got, I do like to play it. Oh, Super Polymerization as well. I like putting that in decks. I don't think it's really that good now, but there was a time where it's like Super Poly in this deck, this deck, this deck, and this deck, because it's awesome. What are the can't miss or must own Doctor Who stories of all time? Do you know, I think it's Genesis. I think that is the, you can't, this is, that and An Unearthly Child, because it's the first one. Yeah, those two I think are the ones where you have to see them. Purely because that's the first one, with Unearthly Child, and then with Genesis. I know people think it's overrated, I know people take issue with it and whatever, but it is a fantastic story. It is a bloody good story, and I think that is like, that is peak Doctor Who for me. And then last, but by no means least, all-time team of 6 for Pokemon. So, I'm trying to work this out in my head. I think, okay, I'm going to do my personal 6 of Pokemon that I've experienced. I'll tell you which game they were from, and I will also tell you why they're there. First and foremost, Greninja from Pokemon Y, my walkthrough of Pokemon Y. I mentioned it in my last Pokemon video, which I think was the last video before this one. This is like one of the sickest Pokemon ever. Like, there is no way I'm turning down a Greninja. He just blitzed everything. I didn't really need to use other Pokemon. It didn't even matter with type, advantage or disadvantage. Like, he had a really cool move set. a varied one as well. He could tank hits, he could just boss other monsters and gym leaders and stuff. Monsters? Why did I say monsters? Pokemonsters, pocket monsters. I guess it works. Either way, so yeah, Greninja's in. Then I'm gonna have to go with Charizard from the original games, because why wouldn't you? He's awesome. Do I need to explain Charizard? I know he's probably overrated and a lot of people seem to be like, man, Charizard's better. He's awesome. I'm not picking him. This is going to be an out there choice and some people are going to be like, okay, weird. From my Pokemon Silver walkthrough, I'm going to go with Heracross. Now some people might be confused at that, but good type, bug and fighting. Obviously not very good against fire types, but again, diverse pool of moves. Heracross is one of my favourite Pokemon ever. I love him. I think he's incredible. He's so weirdly cute. If he existed in real life, he'd be a total fucking dumpster fire. And I'd never want to go near one. But because he's all cute and cuddly and blue and whatever, I love him. And my walkthrough of Pokemon Silver, he was always a great Pokemon for me. You know what? I wasn't going to include it, but I'm going to have to. Pikachu. And people are going to go, what the, why have you included Pikachu? Pokemon Yellow was the first ever Pokemon game that I had, and I loved it. And obviously Pikachu follows you around in that. Some people evolve him, you're fucking weird if you do. He was just awesome, and even though I didn't evolve him and like he followed me around and like, obviously we became very good friends, he was like the first Pokemon that I had, really, to a certain extent. So I'm going to have to go with that Pikachu. I'm going to have my Meganium from Pokemon Silver, because why not? It's my favourite Pokemon, or at least the evolved form of my favourite Pokemon, so why would I not include it? Again, I'm willing to admit that this is not the greatest Pokemon team that's ever existed. However, these are my favourites, and these are the ones that I have the most nostalgia for. And then last place, again, this is going to be a whoa, where the fuck has that come from? Azumarill. I think I may have mentioned this in a video before, but Azumarill, I don't have an explanation as to why this happened, but this was in my Pokemon Ruby game. I caught a Marill, obviously, and then for Pokedex reasons, I want to train it up, evolve it, and then put it back in the box. I just fell in love with this thing. And I don't know why, it just became my go-to Pokemon, and it felt like, I think this is the Pokemon that I have the biggest attachment to, in terms of like, from any game that I've ever played. Obviously some I'm very attached to, like I said, but this was one where I didn't care, again, about typing. I was like, I'm going to use Azumarill. And it was the first Pokemon that I ever raised to level 100. In fact, I didn't realise that you couldn't go higher than level 100, because when I was trying to level up my Azumarill even further, I was like, why am I getting no XP for this? This is ridiculous. But then I looked it up and I realised that, yeah, it's level 100. And because that was the first Pokemon that I maxed out level-wise, yeah, it's got to be in my all-time 6. But that has been my Patreon Q&A. Thank you very much to every single one of you, firstly for supporting me on Patreon, and also for all of your questions. What I really liked about that Q&A is that it was quite varied with the questions as well. You guys are awesome, thank you for that. I hope that the answers were good enough. Hope that you enjoyed the Q&A, hope that you're satisfied, all that sort of stuff. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like on it, subscribe for more. I know I've been shit with this, but I do want 10k by the end of the year still. I promise I will get better with uploads. Social media and Patreon links will be in the description as always, so if you'd follow me on any of those things, I would absolutely love you forever. But until next time guys, you take care of yourselves. Goodbye.